You know the New York City Wine and Food Show is going on, right? You don't have to be here if you. They've got free wine, all kinds of chefs.
What are you're the first guest I've ever seen try to dissuade an audience to leave.
It's a joke. It's compensation. I'm projecting.
For sure,
I'm projecting.
For sure. I think you're going to compensate adequately here. This is pretty nice.
I spent my whole life compensating just adequately, so yeah.
A little bit, just to reach adequate. Dude, welcome and thank you so much for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Congratulations.
Should this be any bigger?
It could. Do you want us to zoom in?
Next time.
Yeah, okay.
Next time.
Fair enough. We'll get two of them. This book, I was saying it in my introduction, I mean it.
It sucks, I know. I overheard them talking. It was.
Well, you would think by now.
They didn't think I heard.
You've done so many, I thought you would have figured it out by now.
This is Lucky 13
on
the 13th. Yeah.
No way.
This is my 13th book. It's my 9th health and wellness book.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Was that
I
planned?
started when I was 5. I started in first grade. Yeah. They count my coloring books from kindergarten.
Hey, book's a book.
I know.
You got to put it on the chart, man.
No,
13th on Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Was that? Did we do that on purpose?
No, we didn't do that on purpose.
Fair enough.
That would be like double bad luck. No one would intend to do that.
At that point, it cancels out. Then it becomes good luck.
Maybe you're right.
I think so.
That's why I'm here. And here we go.
Or does it?
And the apparitions appear.
Or does it? Well,
hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll pick that up later. But again, I'm so excited you're here. I know you're super busy right now. Yes, Wine and Food Festival.
Busy?
Well, everybody.
Who isn't so busy that they can't even? I mean, is anybody bored?
Show of hands, not busy.
Anybody?
No, all busy.
No,
yeah, we're all very busy.
There was a time where people were kind of bored and didn't have enough to do, but that's no longer the case.
Not an issue anymore.
Social media has filled the void.
We've evolved beyond that.
Yeah.
Nobody has to be bored anymore.
Yep.
It's good, though, that your book is constructed the way it is for these people, because we were talking in the back a little bit that I have previously messed around with meal kits and things of that nature for this exact reason, because I'm one of those many busy people, and I wanted to eat something a notch above garbage.
Yeah.
And so I thought, let me try.
A little bit better than what comes in a nitrogen-sealed canister.
Precisely. So I was like, let me give these meal kit things a shot. And they were okay. They're not bad, but they can be very overwhelming.
Yes.
Your book I describe as a godsend because I made a delicious dish last night, which we will talk about in depth, but it was like half an hour max and 4 or 5 ingredients. I was blown away by it. So my question, where I'm going with this, is, was that the impetus for this book entirely? Easy, healthy, fast for busy people. What started you on the track to number 13? What was the beginning?
This book definitely was intended to check all those boxes, but mostly was intended to give my readers lots of recipes to choose from in every category and every day part. So I find that people eat by day part now, you know, sort of like mornings, and then there's like mid-morning snack, and then there's the avocado day part, right? Everyone's got the avocado day part.
Love avocado toast.
So I've got a whole chapter on avocado dishes and avocado toast. Then I find that people like to eat chocolate, so I've got a whole chapter on chocolate and chocolate bark and chocolate desserts and non-baked chocolate cookies and things like that. And then I've got some traditional, you know, entrees, soups, side dishes, snacks. So I've sort of mixed it up, and the idea was to provide a book that didn't have a lot of diet theory, did not ask you to compromise, give up anything, sacrifice anything you love, did not ply you with, you know, the science of ketogenic, thermogenic, DASH, you know, on and on. Because I think that my readers sort of know about all that stuff now. And I just wanted to give you recipes that you could cook and live the healthy lifestyle instead of reading about it.
Yeah, well...
So there's 248 recipes in the book. Each 248, biggest book so far. All are healthy and delicious, common sense healthy. They're gluten-free. They're mostly dairy-free, zero refined sugar. You know, really nutrient-dense ingredients, and super easy to make.
That number is astounding to me. 248. I can't list 248 things that I've eaten in my entire lifetime. I can't. Do you struggle to reach that number, or do you have so many that you're editing down and narrowing it down to 248? How do you get so many?
So it's interesting. The recipe development process is different for everybody. For those of us who have a restaurant or private food delivery business like I do, we're innovating recipes every day. So I'm creating recipes for my clients on a daily basis, and all my clients get a different program. It's a customized program. So I've got thousands of recipes that I have to cull down from. We started with about 500. My publisher was initially going to give me 500 pages, and then, you know, in the second pass was like, okay, we're cutting that 100 to 400 pages. So we had to cut out about 100 recipes. Yeah. So for me, I'm innovating, and it's a matter of picking the ones that will translate easiest to the home cook. Right? Making it easy for the home cook to sort of understand that it's easy by looking at it, by looking at the photo. Every recipe has a photo, a really extreme close-up photo.
Beautiful photo.
To show you what's going on in the food, and just make you take that leap and go, oh, you know, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. Yeah, there's only 5 ingredients. I'm going to try it.
For sure. I definitely got that vibe. And the other thing I love about the book, too, is it's not just the 200 and 48 some odd recipes in there. There's also the entire first part is tips on fleshing out your kitchen staples you should have, the ways to go out and shop better and what to look for. How did you construct that bit? Was that always part of the book, or did you get all the recipes and go, you know what would really make this really work, what would really make this helpful? Like, when did that get added?
Yeah, so the book is mostly plant-based. Out of 248 recipes, 200 are vegan. You wouldn't know it by looking at it. It barely needs to be said, but because they look like the kind of food you'd find on Instagram on those really, food porny sites that everyone loves to visit. And you all know what I'm talking about. Crazy shakes, anyone?
We know you all go to food porn sites on the internet. It's why we have internet.
Isn't it funny? That's our secret now, food porn. Yeah.
Half of them over in that section are on it right now. That's why we put them over there.
Exactly. So I wanted to give the recipes some context, and I wanted to talk about a few important things in the world of plant-based living and the benefits of going plant-based. One is organic, right? Yeah. So I list 10 or 15 reasons why you should go organic. I'm going to give you one. If this doesn't change your mind, you should just leave now. So in conventional farming, you're allowed to use human waste as fertilizer. In organic farming, you're not. Everyone's dead silent. Just think about that for 1 second. So in conventional farming, you're allowed to recycle human waste into fertilizer and grow food that you will then eat. What do you think is going to be in that food? So that's my sort of acid test for everyone. If you still want to eat conventional foods after you hear that you deserve them,
Well, fair enough, because I was going to ask, admittedly,
because everyone's going, is it worth it? There's fraud, blah, blah,
well,
blah.
That's just it. I was shopping, so last night I made the cauliflower risotto, as I have gone out of my way to tell everybody that I've run into that I cooked something. And when
risotto is such a great thing to say you made, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's so much
it's the hero dish.
Yeah, exactly. So, but when I was shopping and I was buying the ingredients, literally on my left was full head cauliflower, $3.99, and on my right, organic full head cauliflower, $4.99. They were identical. I went with the organic because I was sticking to the theme of the book, and I knew that's part of it, and that's what we got to do, and we're supposed to. But I hadn't yet arrived at the reasoning why. Not that I cared about the dollar. I assumed the organic was better. But visually, aesthetically, I couldn't tell the difference, which I think is why some people are still like, what's the point? Yeah, they're confused by it.
The thing is that pesticide residue is invisible.
Yeah, if they put that on the sign.
There's been this misconception about organic food since the beginning that it should somehow be bigger, stronger, bionic. It's not that it should be bigger, stronger, bionic, or more beautiful. It's simply missing the things you can't see. The 30 or 40 pesticide residues that are on what we call the dirty dozen, apples, pears, strawberries, blueberries, all of those contain 20 to 40 pesticide residues that are known carcinogens, hormone disruptors, that hurt the bee, they do all kinds of awful things to this planet. So that extra dollar was definitely well spent. And if you don't feel like you're on a Xanax high right now, you know why, because, by the way, everything we take ends up in that system. All the medicines that we take, everything that we put into that system ends up in our food somehow. So
it's insane.
I know. I don't want to dwell on that because it's so atrocious. But
one of the questions I feel like, well, actually, before I get to that, I want to ask you. You've said before in other interviews that this is your favorite book so far out of the 13 that you've done, and we also established it's your biggest. What about this book makes it your favorite? So you've done so many.
I've done so many, and I got to publish a lot of recipes, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's odd, right? You'd think the publisher would want more recipes, but more pages, more money. So getting 400 pages for the book was a gift to me, and to be able to fill that up with lots of recipes that people can use was also a gift. And I got to put in a lot of photos, which is very important to me. I think if you don't have a photo with a recipe these days, no one will even attempt it. I don't know. How do you guys feel about photos for recipes? Got to have them, right? Yeah. I think most people start with the photo and attempt to cook, and yeah, exactly. So these photos are extreme close-ups. There's no, ridiculous food styling. There's not a lot of table escaping. It's just the food, really close. You get to see right into the dish, and I think it gives you a visual representation strong enough that you'll be able to go from it.
Well, for sure, and that was one of the things, which is why when I saw you immediately today, I was like, I have questions, because the photo itself becomes part of the instructions at that point.
Absolutely.
It's like, this is the end game. You're trying to construct this. And I feel like I've gotten close. We'll get there in a moment. But I do want to ask you a question I know you get a lot, but coming from an Italian family myself, I am very curious. how you, as a healthy chef, as someone who's trying to help people eat healthy, reconcile that with what I've been raised to understand and believe as traditional Italian cuisine. A lot of breaded chicken cutlets, a lot of things parmed, pasta, all of that. How do you balance that, and how do you fold that into some of these amazing dishes, and how do you sort of...
Yeah, so the big myth about Italian cuisine is that Italian-American cuisine is Italian cuisine. Right. What we did to Italian food in America is not how they eat Italian food in Italy to this day. Italians eat a largely plant-based diet. Okay. Most of the calories come from fruit, vegetables, and grains. They eat a little bit of meat and a little bit of healthy fat. And their diet is in perfect balance with their lifestyle. Yeah. They have a good work-life balance. They keep it all in check, and they kind of get it, right? And if you go to Italy, and whoever's been probably can report back similar stories that you probably had a really good time, you laughed a lot, you drank more wine and ate more pasta than you thought you could, and maybe even lost some weight. Because their food is so unadulterated, so natural, so close to local and fresh that it provides a lot of the benefits that I'm trying to get you to provide for yourself by eating local, healthy, organic food. So Italian food is healthy food. The Mediterranean diet pattern is the singularly most sustainable diet pattern that we know of. And no matter what diet we come up with, my pound-a-day diet, the keto diet, the DASH diet, the bulletproof diet, we always end up back at the Mediterranean diet. And if you look at the people who live in those countries, their stats are just much better than ours. The levels of heart disease, strokes, much lower, much lower. And they cook at home 2 to 3 times more than we do per week.
It's interesting, though, because you talk about it in the book, and I remember growing up, I don't know an Italian grandparent that didn't have a backyard garden, right?
Yes,
that had, like, tomatoes and zucchini and all these different things that they would grow every year. And so I wonder, because there's part of that DNA, it's still there, but I wonder when it started to slip into what we know as American Italian food, that Americanized, when that happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I have the answer for you.
I didn't expect you to. I'm just having a conversation
on it. Yeah.
No, it's not your area of expertise. It's fascinating.
They consider New York City or New York or America the 21st, region of Italy. But, obviously in the 19th and 20th century when millions of Italians came here and tried to replicate their homes in America. As my grandmother and aunts and uncles and parents did, we had chicken coops, rabbit hutches, we had pigeons, we ate all of those fresh. We grew 30 to 40 kinds of produce. We had orchards. When I say orchards, I mean 1 cherry tree, 1 pear tree, 1 apple tree.
Collectively an orchard.
Collectively an orchard, yeah.
One whole orchard.
And that's how we ate. My grandmother went to a key-food, she called it. No, it was a shopperite. That's what it was. Shopperite. Only when there were coupons and when someone could drive her there to get 3 for $1 canned tomatoes.
It was a different time for sure. One of my favorite stories from my wife of her grandmother is when she was like 5 or maybe younger, and her grandmother took her to Arthur Avenue to find a chicken. And Marin, my wife, was under the impression that she was getting a friend or a pet. And she found out that day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
She was picking out dinner. And it's just like, it was a different time, and there was an appreciation for those things. And there was organic. Before organic was a push, they were doing organic, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where we didn't consider foods conventional or organic.
Exactly.
The pesticide issue wasn't as prevalent as it is now, and GMO wasn't an issue back then. And so
we've talked a lot about the food photos. I want to go to some of them. I think we have a bunch to flip through here. I want to take a look at one that I think is particularly appropriate. There's a pizza that I know is in there. If we can get that to pop up.
Protein.
Yeah, how's that work?
So it's made with protein powder. Everyone has protein powder in their kitchen. I make the crust out of mostly spinach, protein, couple of eggs. So there's no empty calorie carbs in it. You essentially take an unhealthy dish that I happen to be addicted to, by the way, pizza, and make it into a healthy dish. So instead of getting 50 to 100 grams of empty calorie carbs, you're now getting 20 to 30 grams of protein. And of course, never throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Pizza was made to have mozzarella cheese and tomatoes and basil on it. So I give up all the empty calorie carbs in the crust, but I go traditional with the topping. You, of course, could do other things. There are amazing nut cheeses now available, cashew, macadamia, almond cheeses that work really well.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was reading your book, even because I know for a while, like, gluten-free was like a big thing, but there was like a backlash. Like, it doesn't really mean anything unless you have celiac disease and all that stuff. You don't need to have gluten-free and yada, yada. But
Can we take a poll? Who thinks it means something now? Gluten-free. 5, 6, 7, more. The more I look at them, the more they raise their hand.
Well, it's intimidating.
Come on, the 19-year-old kid with the blonde hair in the back, yeah. You don't know? Gluten-free was invented for your generation, are you kidding? Yeah. Yeah, so it's a thing, and I think most people understand that gluten is an irritant. It's an inflammatory,
regardless
ingredient.
of whether or not you have.
We're all sensitive to high levels of gluten. Yeah, whether or not we have the antibodies for celiac disease makes no difference. Same thing is true for refined sugar, processed foods, dairy, in many cases. Yeah, but I break for Parmigiano Reggiano. That's the one I can't give. It's mostly made in Italy, and they play opera to their cows and the cows decide when they want to be milked in Italy. So yeah.
Okay, next photo. Let's take a look at what else we got in here and flip through some of these. These are absolutely gorgeous, and on the screen for sure, like you really get the feel.
Veggie pasta pomodoro.
Perfect. So let's talk about the veggie pasta, another big thing right now.
Yeah, these are spiralized vegetables.
Yeah.
The thing is, make sure you have a really great sauce. So the Pomodoro sauce made the traditional way with a sofrito of garlic, basil, olive oil, and peperoncino. That's how every grandmother in Italy, south of Tuscany, starts their sauce. Add fresh tomatoes, cook it till it's done, which takes about 20 minutes. And then you want to heat up the vegetables a little bit, either in a microwave or a steamer, so that you're not sauteing them from dry. That makes a big difference in the end texture. But they overcook quickly, so a quick bath in hot water or a quick steam.
Something that I bring up occasionally.
But this tastes delicious, by the way.
It looks delicious.
It's incredibly deceiving because you're thinking, oh, zucchini is going to taste like crap. It's delicious. It's really good.
And what about the texture, like compared to?
Surprisingly similar, and the differences are actually pleasant. I don't find them to be disagreeable. I don't say, oh, this doesn't taste like the crappy pasta that we spend our whole lives eating and getting fat on. Yeah, it actually is as good. In many cases, the veggie replacements or the healthier replacements are better.
I noticed you said sauce several times, which
Yes.
brings up. I'm yet to be able to trace back the origins of this, but I grew up in a gravy household where sauce was for
Sunday gravy.
Sunday
Gravy.
gravy. You've had this debate before.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, once it's on the table, there's no difference between sauce and gravy. It's just how you were brought up, or did you convert from gravy to sauce?
No, there's a difference. Gravy is typically made from the pan juices of a roasted meat dish. There's usually roux involved, which is a mixture of butter and flour. There's usually deglazing, which is usually a white wine or something like that. And then there's usually an addition of stock, and it's boiled and simmered for a long time. That's typically what a gravy is.
That would be a gravy, like a meat sauce.
Yes,
would be
exactly.
Kind of, okay.
Yeah. So this is a salsa di pomodoro.
Yeah.
It follows all the traditional rules of sauces. There's no roasted meat. There's no pan drippings. There's no deglazing. Those are the technical differences. But really, who cares? If you're making healthy gravy or healthy sauce, I'm happy with either one.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the next photo. Let's see what we've got in here. Followed up.
Oh, the burgers, yeah.
Yes. I really wanted to talk to you about these because I was blown away by the buns that you made.
Yeah. So I've been working on this bun for a really long time, and it's a high-protein bun, and I did not want to give up this recipe, but I really wanted to hold on to one. And this is a guy who gives away recipes for a living, right?
Yeah.
Thousands have been published, and these burgers could not be accomplished and reach the nutrition metrics that I want you to reach without the bun recipe. So the bun recipe is in the book. It's protein powder and egg white, and it basically is the healthiest piece of bread you'll ever eat in your life. And then I have a whole section on veggie burgers because we all love them, and they're kind of hard to get right and make. So I think I did a
great one.
Yeah, so there's 12 in the book.
Yeah, a great variety. That's a question I always have when I have a chef or somebody in here with a cookbook is, were you at all hesitant about, clearly the buns, but was there like a bunch of recipes, like the supposed 11 herbs and spices, as it were, that you were like, if I put this in here, it's gone. It's not mine anymore. It belongs to the world.
Yeah, we struggle with
now.
these a lot. So some of my shake recipes, I was like, oh, I'm giving away one of my children. But ultimately, it's for the greater good, and people, if they love your recipes and they work well, they're just going to come back for more. So,
for sure.
Yeah. But we all have our little secrets,
I'm wondering if we can jump ahead to the risotto photo. I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about the ones that are physically here. Okay, so this is the cauliflower risotto.
Yeah.
Again, beautiful photo. I spent a lot of time staring at this last night. This is your photo. This is the finished dish here.
I heard you walked in, took a tour. You ended up taking a nap right about there.
Yeah, I could crawl up right in that little nook, or is that a cranny? I don't know, but I could get in there.
It's whatever you want it to be, my friend.
I want a little bit of both.
Your world. This is your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So this particular recipe, I want to show guys. You have my photo now, and I cannot stress this enough. This is not his photo. This is my photo.
It looks good to me. Don't even downplay it. It's fine. There's nothing. The fact that it's a little bit darker. Doesn't mean anything, right? Yeah, because you sauteed the cauliflower.
This I did.
That's good. You added flavor, my friend.
So that's where, because that was one of my big questions.
Blew it, guys.
Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you, guys. The side by side. I love this. Okay. Now, one thing I like to think I did nail, actually.
Can you label these, please, just so the audience knows? Whose is whose?
Actually, I'm noticing now your flakes are a little more elegant and dainty than mine.
They're from.
But in my defense, it's a dollar store cheese grater. All right, it's not anything fancy, but it got the job done. But yeah, so again, using the photo as like direction. Mine ended up a little bit darker. I was worried about that, but the taste was phenomenal. I was blown away by it. I was also curious about. You notice these little dark flecks. Some of those are the chives.
Yep.
Some of those are the garlic that I ruined incidentally.
The carbonized garlic?
Well, yeah, it said to let it sweat, and it said approximately 4 minutes.
Yeah.
About 2 minutes in, half of them were black. Some of them were still cooking. I'm wondering, where did I veer? How could I have rectified
So
that?
it's just a small detail that you have to be a chef to sort of know. If you slice garlic unevenly, some's going to burn, some's not going to cook, and 25% will be perfectly cooked. So I recommend you use a mandolin. And when you use a mandolin, be very careful not to use your fingers on a clove of garlic. Yeah, take them right off. You'll lose your fingerprints in 30 seconds. And everyone does it. Every new cook I train, they're like, oh, it's not going to be me. And 5 minutes later, we need to, we need to call the medics. So put the garlic clove on a fork and then slice it on the mandolin. And they look something like this when you're done.
Yeah, these are gorgeous.
All nice
they almost
and
look like candied almonds or something. Like it's the color, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so they all cooked evenly, but it's not a big deal. The point is that you looked at a picture, you made something, and it ended up being delicious. You're probably going to make it again. You 100%. Spent $7 on the ingredients, probably.
I mean, to be fair, the organic garlic was a little pricey, but yeah, $7 is approximate. $7 is approximate. It was very cheap.
The organic cauliflower was $4.99, and the garlic was $12, right, or something.
Exactly. It was really expensive, but
I love that you went all the way to organic garlic.
I did.
What about organic chives? Did you?
I did actually. Yeah, I got everything organic.
You were so done. You're
toast.
On the
cover of the book, man.
You're
I got it. Yeah. So
they're gonna have to give you a raise, is all I'm saying.
Well,
an organic food stipend, right?
Yes.
Let's negotiate this right now.
Food stipend. But I will say, I was floored by the simplicity of it, the quickness of it, especially as someone who has done a bunch of meal kit stuff. Because I've been trying to, like I said, cook more and eat more. Because at the end of the day, I think we all want to eat more healthy food. We all want to be better. But there isn't, try as they might, there isn't like an equivalent to like an organic healthy McDonald's where you can walk in and pay $3 and get that. Well, get working on that, man, because we can use that.
The thing about meal kits is a lot of people misunderstand that they're meant to be healthy. So they are definitely going to be more healthy than processed food or food that you get
Not every one of them
at a chain restaurant, but they're in many cases filled with empty calorie carbs and things that you're trying to avoid. So the thing to avoid is the amount of total sugar that you consume in a day. Someone on social media asked me yesterday, which is more important, low calorie or low carb? And I said it's neither. It's low sugar and carbs contain usually the most amount of sugar. It's the sugar that derails your whole system, that interrupts insulin production, that spikes insulin production, and that's the thing you need to avoid. So, but the thing about veggies is they are high in carbs, but you can eat a ton of them because they're also high in fiber, so you don't end up with a sugar issue and blood sugar spikes that you would if you're eating processed food.
Yeah, no, it's simple science at the end of the day.
It's not simple at all. We've just been hearing it a lot, so we're starting to understand, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it all makes sense when you explain it. And this book, I cannot say it enough, guys. It's filled with amazing, easy recipes. We're going to turn it over to audience Q&A, but I do want to talk about what these two fun little bowls are filled with.
Sure.
Because I think, provided you don't have any allergies, if you ask a question, I would love for you to get a snack. So let's talk about, what do I have closest to me here?
So that's an apple cinnamon breakfast bar. There are 7 breakfast bars in the book, something that you can make ahead of time that will hold forever, basically. Will freeze to the next millennium, and are delicious and easy. Have a good amount of protein. You want to eat protein in the morning, not just carbs. And it's basically, my protein powder, dried apple chips, cinnamon spice, puffed brown rice, and coconut nectar, all compressed together into a bar form.
Sounds amazing. About how long does it take to put that together?
It's just 4 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, it all goes into a bowl.
Yeah.
You could make balls. You could make cookie shapes. You can make any shape you want.
Yeah. Dinosaur cookie cutter. Boom. There you
For
make
sure.
it fun.
That would actually be a great. That would have been so much better than what I did. I should have done that. I should have thought that. But you're right. You can make it any shape you want. It's
one idea. That's yours.
It's just a batter, essentially, that you can turn into anything you want.
And then this fancy-looking guy.
So I have a lot of chocolate in this book. Chocolate is a top 5 superfood. It's heart healthy, brain healthy. It's good for all kinds of things in your body. The flavonoids that it contains actually helps your arteries remain more elastic. It's so good for us, but we're told it's a bad thing, right? We've been trained because a lot of commercially produced chocolate is bad. You know, they take out all the cacao, which is the expensive and most valuable part, and they replace it with inexpensive fats and lots of sugar. So this chocolate calls for 70% or more cacao, and cacao is the other half of the cocoa bean, cocoa butter being the other side. So cocoa butter and cacao are the 2 things that make up chocolate. The rest is a sweetener. So here I come up with these chocolate barks that are essentially just melted chocolate with a bunch of trail mix thrown on them, and you just let them cool up, and you get these nice.
Oh wow! That is
pieces that you can break and here. You can pass it around if you want.
I'm eating it.
Yeah, I mean, you put that in your pocket, give it to your friends. I mean, yeah. So that's made with raw vegan cacao that comes from my Peruvian farmer.
First of all, it's getting all over me. It's melting immediately.
It's awesome.
That's a sign.
Good chocolate melts in your hands.
That's how
Good chocolate melts in your hands. Yeah.
It's also, if you like dark chocolate, that is like really perfect.
It's 74% cacao. Yeah. So it's a health food, something you should eat every day. Actually.
It's got.
So I've got 20 chocolate. You're gonna need some water in a second. Yeah. So let me talk. It's got
take it away.
74% raw vegan cacao. Now you're thinking chocolate is already vegan, but in the vegan world, people are really concerned about how it affects other animals, and so this is as certified vegan as possible, meaning no other animals were harmed or intruded on, or that's an important metric for me too.
That's incredible.
Because part of the reason to go plant-based is for humane reasons,
Yeah. Let's turn it over. Let's take some questions from the audience. The first question is going to come from right over here.
Hi.
Hi.
So I know that you're trying to go with the like the gluten-free and all that, but like there's like trying to get the food. Sometimes it's hard to
getting gluten-free food that tastes good. It's impossible.
So I was just wondering what can people like us do to
Are people like us people with celiac or gluten sensitivities?
Yeah,
do you have that?
Exactly.
Okay, so what I do is I recommend that you eat foods that are naturally gluten-free. So don't eat bread if you're in a restaurant because it's likely going to have gluten or be in contact with something that has gluten. Eat vegetables instead. And we just have to, we're addicted to sugar, right? We're born, we go off mother's milk 1 or 2 months, and we end up on a, quote, formula. Formula is basically 50% lactose, which is sugar, usually coming from cow's milk. So we're like that, hooked from month 2, month 3, month 4, and then you're addicted to sugar your entire life. So the reason you want bread, pasta, cookies, baked goods is you're addicted to sugar, and those are the delivery systems.
Yeah.
But if you eat vegetables, fruit, you're eating naturally gluten-free foods, and you don't have to worry about the contamination. So I would steer you in that direction. The gluten-free processed foods can many times be much worse than the originals. So they're using tapioca starch, potato starch, lots of pretty crappy products to make those taste and feel like they contain gluten. One ingredient that's used a lot that I want to demystify a little bit is xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is okay. It's a natural thickener. Yeah. It's the bacteria that, it's a whole, the word slime's involved. You don't want to know the whole story, but it comes from a natural place.
I am intrigued.
It comes from a natural place, and it's a really helpful ingredient when it comes to gluten-free foods.
Do you know what it's named for? Xanthan?
Xanthanos, the bacteria called xanthanos.
Xanthanos.
Yeah.
I am
It's got 5 more names after that. Sounds like a superhero or an evil warlord.
Exactly. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's my Halloween costume.
Should be in a Marvel movie.
This year, I am going to be Xanthanos.
I am bacterial slime. That's what I am.
Okay, next question. Wait, hang on. I'm sorry, real quick. Are you going to try one of the snacks? Do you want to? I'll bring it over to you. Yeah. Full service. Yeah. What do you want? Apple cinnamon or chocolate?
Apple cinnamon.
Apple cinnamon. All right, let's take the next question. I'm going to bring the apple cinnamon over. We'll come back to you for a reaction.
Hi. What's your favorite recipe in this book in particular?
So there are a lot of recipes that are my favorites. The chocolate barks happen to be some of my favorites because they're so easy to make, and they're super impressive. People love them. They're very portable. They don't go bad. You can throw them in the freezer forever. You could leave them out at room temperature. So chocolate barks are among my favorite. And my favorite is the spicy pistachio goji berry bark. Yeah, it's like a month's rent worth of goji berries, but...
Yeah, where was that?
Couldn't afford to bring it today.
Mix bark. Meanwhile, you're holding out in the goji berries?
There's a recipe for trail mix in the books, but these do have white mulberries that are raw,
delicious.
vegan, organic from Turkey. And
Okay.
half my month's rent. Yeah.
Fair enough. We're going to take one more question, but again, before we...
He needs a large cup of water or coffee.
I was going to say, do you need some water or something? How you doing?
Good.
Really good. All right, last question. Where's it from? It's from, okay, over here, same area.
Hey, what's up?
Hi. At this time of the year, what do you like to get at the farmer's market?
So right now, squash is going mad, and it's some squash madness there, and so squash would be my pick. I go with whatever's in season, and squash mushrooms right now are blowing up. There's still some tomatoes, by the way.
Yeah?
Crazy. There's still some delicious, fresh local tomatoes that were grown in the ground. So I love Union Square, by the way. We have 25, almost 30 active markets. They're open every day of the year now. Farmers markets are super accessible. They take SNAP, which is food assistance. They double the dollar on SNAP sometimes. So if you're thinking, I can't afford to eat healthy, you can, because at the farmers market especially, they'll make it extraordinarily easy for you to do that. And at the end of the day, one farmers market trick is at the end of the day at 4 o'clock when they close, they don't want to go home with anything. They want to leave everything they brought here. So they sell dollar bags of food. So they'll give you like a bag with 10 pounds of whatever they have for $1. So it's super affordable. So whatever's there and in season, I take my cues from and my inspiration from. And right now, it's squash. Squash everywhere.
Rocco, I could sit here and eat this food and talk to you and give it away and do this all day, but regrettably, I got to let you go.
Melissa's coming, and you got to make room for her.
Precisely.
So, yeah.
That's just it. I got to leave room.
Hero.
Oh, look at you watching our schedule. Very nice.
Yeah, been a fan of hers for a long time.
Congratulations on this book, on 13 books, on all years of delicious food, and thank you for this book. Honestly, guys, Rocco's Healthy and Delicious. Please get yourself a copy. Change your life. It's worth it. It's easy. It's fantastic. One more time, Rocco Dispirito, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.